Welcome back to the 2023 Bryan Clay Invitational. We just saw an outstanding women's 10,000, completely rewrote the national list, 3 of the top 5 times in the country, and numerous other great times. We're about to start the men's 10,000, and you always got to worry about those false starts in the 10,000s. You know, 25 laps is not enough to get it done, and so they're going to bring him back again. We'll go through the field here. Dylan Jacobs of Tennessee. We're going to definitely talk a lot more about him once we get started. Awet Baraki of Adams State. Barry Keene of Butler. Casey Klinger of BYU. There's actually 6 athletes, a sextet of BYU Cougars. Casey Klinger, Joey Noakes, Creed Thompson, Brandon Garnica, Christian Allen, and Luke Grundvig, all from BYU. We're going to talk about the Cougars here in just a second. Juan Pacheco of Gandhi is running in this race. Ben Perrin of Portland, Jack Spamer of Michigan, Ed Buck of University of San Francisco, Dylan Vanderhoek of Cal Baptist, Cameron Allen of Adams State, Jacob Stanford of BYU. In the navy blue tops of BYU. We've got 6 athletes from BYU. BYU, one of the premier distance programs in the country. Always a ton of athletes in the 10,000 meters, a ton of athletes under 29 minutes in the 10,000 meters. Ed Eyestone, a former U.S. champion and American record holder at 10,000 meters. And he's the coach at BYU, so obviously he knows what he's doing, preparing athletes to run 25 laps around the track. He won the 5,000 and the 10,000 meter double at the NCAA championships back in his career at BYU, and is doing a great job, has done a great job with that program and built it into really a factory for 10,000 meter runners, and we've got 6 of them featured in this race. The tip of the BYU sword is Casey Klinger. Talk a little bit about Casey Klinger.
Casey Klinger, I mean, he has prolific finishes in all of these races so far, and he leads this BYU pack that we look to win a lot of these distance events. You know, the athletes show their strength on the distance side. We talked a lot about it between them and NAU being on that. When you think of a distance squad in NCAA, in cross country, or in track and field, BYU and NAU are those 2 teams that you really think about, and that's shown here definitely by 6 athletes, three of them actually in aggregate lead with the 2 pacers out in front. So BYU up front as of right now. Someone I definitely want to mention, though, before we get too deep into this, is Dylan Jacobs out of Tennessee, wearing that bright orange and that #1 hip spot. He's the 2023 Indoor NCAA champ in the 5K, first-team All-American. He's a 2-time Indoor SEC champion. He's on the Bowerman watch list, which means Bowerman wants to pick him up as we have our first pacer drop out, so now only 1 left. Dylan was all of that actually just happened in this past year in 2023, as he's a transfer from Notre Dame and won the NCAA championships in the 5K and DMR, and was a 7-time first-team and 2-time ACC champion. Now owns the Albuquerque 10K record set in the national championships just a month ago. And when you think about it, 90% of the NCAA indoor championships are run at Albuquerque down in New Mexico. So to hold that facility record means he's been one of the best to run there.
Yeah, especially being a C-level athlete, going to Albuquerque and breaking the facility record, that's actually impressive. So you can see Jacobs, as you mentioned, in the orange top there, the Notre Dame transfer at Texas, who is the defending 10K champ. He's run 28:01 in this event, so obviously looking to break 28 for the first time. He did that a year ago down here in Southern California at the Mount Sac Invitational. He's taken his talents from Notre Dame to Texas and taken his talents from Mount Sac over here to Cougar Stadium and Azusa Pacific to see if this track treats him as good as Mount Sac treated him last year. And it is Klinger at the pointy end of the BYU grouping there at the front. You can tell the difference. Obviously, they're all wearing the same uniform, but they're all wearing different hats. Klinger's the one with the white striping on it and the Y at the front. Klinger, the NCAA indoor runner-up. He's run 13:17, 7th at the NCAA cross-country championships. Really been a stalwart for Ed Eidstone's squad. He ran 28:16 last year in this event. So really, maybe 10 or 15 seconds personal best separate Jacobs and Klinger. Those are, what we would expect to be the top 2, the top contenders here. A couple of really good D2 athletes that we shouldn't lose sight of. You can see in the black and fluorescent green near the back of that main pack is Baraki of Adams State. He was the NCAA Division II runner-up at 5K indoors, and he was the Division II runner-up last year at both 5K and 10K, so looking for his first ever Division II national championship this year. But also in there, you see University of Colorado Springs, Zeru from him. He's a 10-time All-American. He ran 13:51 earlier this year at Stanford. He was the national champion last year at 5,000 meters. Zeru was for UC Colorado Springs. So a couple of great Division II athletes there, Baraki and Zeru. You can see the trio of BYU Cougars.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking at, I believe that in that 4th spot, that is Barry Keene out of Butler. He's another All-American and a Big East champion. The senior hasn't run since Indoor Division I championships, where he finished 11 in that 5K, the same one that Casey Klinger and Dylan Jacobs both competed in. He's run multiple times, most recently back in November where he's run this event multiple times. He finished 17th at the NCAA Division I Cross Country Championships and has seen consistent improvement throughout his career in the 10K. Almost every race is a personal best for him, and this is definitely an opportunity for him to run fast as well. But I want to talk a little bit about the battle between Dylan Jacobs and Casey Klinger. Jacobs last year, as we mentioned, in indoor, or this year I should say, in the 3K he finished 6th, and in the 5K he was our winner in Division I Indoor Track and Field Championship, setting that record. Klinger beat him out in the 3K, finishing 4th, but lost to him just barely, came in right behind him in that 5K, finishing in 2nd. The difference was by half a second, so beat him out on the line. Going to see a tight finish between the two of them as we get a little bit closer, but can't count out any of these other BYU athletes or Keene as well.
Yeah, you see bib number 7, Brandon Garnica. He's just been, steady for Coach Eyestone. Garnica's run 13:26, 28:19. I mean, that's what's crazy is Keene's run 28:15. You mentioned from Butler. Garnica's run 28:19. Klinger 28:16. Jacobs 28:01. I mean, these guys are all separated by less than 10-15 seconds. Right now, the pacer's doing an outstanding job. He's got them right on 28 flat pace. These guys are all lined up. The interesting thing about 28 flat pace up front, though, is these guys are lined up. So the guys kind of at the back of this line right now are actually more on 28:10, 28:11. So as things start to kind of accordion out and stretch out, and maybe you get little mini breaks, you could find guys that think they're on 28 flat pace. Next thing, they find themselves 4 or 5 seconds back, and they're sawed off. So we'll keep an eye on that. But the usual suspects are at the front. That's Klinger, Garnica, and then I believe that's 5 is Noakes. Noakes has run 13:29, 28:37. He was 10th indoors at 5K, an All-American in cross country. It seems like everybody at BYU is an All-American. It's part of in cross country. It's just part of what as your starter pack as a BYU Cougar is to be an All-American in cross country. And there they are coming through 11:22. They're right on.
There goes the pacer.
He stepped off, so he took them through, not even quite halfway, but still got it going. I've seen Klinger at the front of races before. He has no problem being right there and just keeping things going. This pace seems very comfortable for everybody in that top group at this point. But again, we're not even to halfway yet.
Yeah, another guy I want to mention right on the back of the pack, you'll see he's running in that orange T-shirt. That is Juan Pacheco. He currently runs for Nike. He's from Mexico. He runs for the Mexican team as well. He's a distance stud on the world stage. He's run a personal best of 28:34 back in 2019, so he definitely has the pace to run fast. And he also has a really fast half marathon and marathon. Half marathon time being 1 hour and 1 minute, and his marathon time being 2 hours and 9 minutes. So breaking that 2:10 barrier is absolutely insane. And for him to be even at the back of this pack just shows how talented these athletes are in front of him. These are national champions running at the front of this pack.
So it slowed a little after the pace setter stepped out there, 12:30. So that's maybe 28:20 pace. So we'll see if Klinger can get things headed in the other direction. Marcelo Laguera is also right in there, just behind Jacobs, a couple spots in front of Baraki of Adams State, and then you can see Noakes there, and then number 6, that's the other BYU Cougar, keeping them all straight. Creed Thompson's ran 13:34 at Stanford a couple weeks ago, so we know he's in fine form, and also a cross-country All-American at BYU. He was 35th in the fall. And then look at Virginia Tech right there. We'll pull up the athlete there from Virginia Tech. We apologize. That is Antonio Lopez Segura running well. Now look at Jacobs sliding to the front. And I was about to say he looked like he was on a training run a few laps ago, and I think the pace slowed a little, so Jacob says, you know what, let's get this going again. He actually talked to the BYU guys as he slid by. He seems well within himself. You know what's interesting to me with Jacobs is it appears he's wearing the road racing flats, where the BYU Cougars are all wearing spikes. I don't know if that's a save the leg things, or nowadays with these super shoes, if these guys are preferring to run 10,000 meters in the road flats there.
Yeah, it's all up to preference, and it could be injuries as well or something like that. If you are if you get shin splints more often than not, then you're more likely to wear those road flats, as they provide a little bit of extra support, but they do hurt you in a sprint race. 10K isn't really a sprint race as much, so we'll see if it comes down to the wire, and if he can get, especially since it's a little wet, he'll lose a little bit of traction to some of these BYU athletes. But with how prolific of a runner that he is and he has been over the past year, I don't see it really being an issue for him down the line.
So Jacobs got him about 14-14 after that pace really slowed with Klinger at the front, which was kind of surprising once the pace setter set off. So Jacobs trying to get it going in the other direction so that 28 minutes is still on the table for these guys. Garnica looks good. It's interesting that he actually slid by his teammate Klinger. So I wonder if Klinger is being nursed along a little bit here. Obviously Jacobs to the front, driving the train right now. And I have to tell you, Dylan Jacobs just looks so good right now.
So smooth. He's a Notre Dame
everybody
transfer.
In that group looks in control, but he looks like he hasn't even started racing
Yeah,
yet.
no. I mean, we still have a lot of racing to go, which is nice. But he has definitely picked up the pace, and as you said, that 28-minute mark is on the table. The time to beat, the number one time in the NCAA right now, is 27:57. So if they can get a few seconds under that, 27:57.47 by Charles Hicks out of Stanford. So as we have another change in lead.
That's Garnica now going to the front, 15:50. So that has, I don't know if when he went by, he kind of told the guys, let's work together, let's keep this thing going, or if maybe Jacob slowed a bit. Well, 15:50, not really. He kind of got him going, heading in the right direction a little bit.
Yeah,
so
I wouldn't be surprised.
They're still on 28:15 pace, but now Garnica to the front, really just been a stalwart for Coach Eyestone over the years. Garnica has been just steady. I mean, all these guys have been 13 mid, 28 low for BYU, and then Jacobs kind of right in there. But then let's not lose sight of Keene at Butler, run for Coach Matt Rowe. Done a fantastic job with that Butler program over the years, year in and year out. They're one of the top mid-major programs there in Indianapolis. And Keene has had such a great career. Big East champ, as you mentioned. He's run 13:21, 28:15. NCAA All-American in cross country this last fall. Finished 9th in this event last year. So we know that he's comfortable in a lead pack for 25 laps. And what I love about these athletes is they're all just tucked in on the rail, taking their spot in line. This is the PR train, really what it's set up for. It's set up really nicely for some of these athletes that are trying to run 28:30. That pack is set up really nicely for them. It's maybe a little on the slow side for 28 flat, but it's perfect for these guys trying to run 28:30. Now, these guys might kick well off of that. It's interesting. I don't know if you saw Jacobs just kind of went to his lower back. I don't know if something's going on there, but he just kind of put his hand on his lower back, maybe a little bit of a cramp forming.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It could have been a cramp. It could have been just him fixing his shorts. So not really sure.
He's running those big, soft shoes, that Nike made that have been taken over the running community by storm. So you think that would be protecting the back. And now look at the BYU kind of forming at the front here. It was Klinger, then Garnica, and now it is Noakes taking his turn at the front.
I wouldn't be surprised if most of these athletes, especially these three BYU athletes and Dylan Jacobs out of Tennessee, were all kind of working together, talked before the race and see if, they want to run a pace. Of course, it's going to come down to a race finish. They all want to win, but one of the more important things right now is setting those really fast times. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're kind of working together a little bit as well, but it's going to be definitely an exciting finish. And we still have, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 12 athletes still in that top pack, and they all look smooth. I mean, none of them have really dropped off yet.
No, and I like Antonio Lopez Segura of VaTech. He's just been right there, kind of matching moves. He's running really well there in about the 7th position behind Creed Thompson of BYU, who's the 4th BYU person in that lead pack. And then, of course, the Division II star Baraki in the black and fluorescent.
Yeah, this would be a big PR for Segura as well, as he's run 28:53 so far in the 10K. So dipping down on this low 28 would be really good for him.
And Ben Perrin of Montana State, let's talk about him just because he's still a part of that lead pack. He's got the white jersey at the back there, 10-time All Big Sky performer. He ran 13:36 at Peyton Jordan last year. We've mentioned Coach Lyle Weiss a few times tonight. Montana State, he has such a good program. We saw Camille Noe in the women's 10K. We saw some women and men in the steeplechase. And Ben Perrin has improved every single year under Weiss's tutelage. And here he is on the back of this pack and gotten potentially a chance to run 28:30, which would be a monster run for Ben Perrin, the Big Sky star from Montana State. So
yeah, he's never broken 30 flat in his collegiate career before, so this would be a monster run for him, and that should definitely happen tonight. His 3 BYU athletes are kind of changing lead a little bit. Our time clock on the screen seems to be frozen, but we'll try to keep you updated as much as we can.
They're going to cross the finish line right around 2022 as they continue to maneuver themselves at the front. 2021 still puts them on right around 28:15 pace. And there's a great shot of that lead pack as they span out wide. And it's Klinger now back on the front. So they clearly, every time they hit the home stretch, there's sort of the tide pool of Cougars that spins around, and another one takes the lead at the front. Jacobs took his turn, did a nice little pull for the field, and now he's kind of taking his position back in the pack. And again, just trying to keep 28 flat on the table, but these guys are going to have to close really well to run 28 flat as they have just under 2 miles to go. But because they all look in control, you know someone's going to close. We're going to see a sub 60-second last lap. We've got our first break in the lead pack. All right, we're going to get our second and our little mini pack that's going to form here. So you've got the 4 BYU Cougars. You got the VaTech runner. You got Butler and Jacobs. I'm sorry, that was the runner from Butler, King. And then there's that second pack that they're trying to bridge back up, and it looks like they have bridged back up. It looks like it might have been Baraki that was in that pack from Adams State that was speed bumping things a bit, which caused that pack to split up. And now Baraki and Perrin are getting spit out the back. They're still got a chance to run 28:30, maybe 28:45. Anything under 29 minutes obviously is great for both of those guys.
Looks like Jacobs has surged past those 2 of those BYU athletes. You know, I was about to say I expect him to make a move in the next couple of laps. Yeah. He has made that move. He's come up in the second right behind Klinger. So the 2 nemesises are battling out again as we come down the last few laps.
1-2 indoors in the 5K. They know each other so well. And I wonder if the gloves are starting to come off, that BYU's done kind of, you know, helping each other out, and now it's time to maybe start racing as they're coming up on 6 to go here.
Yeah, and that's a great response from Barry Keene as well, as he moves with Jacobs and settles into that 3rd spot. So great response from him. It kind of seems like he's just trying to sit on Jacobs as long as he can to see what he can do in the end. But
22:35, so that was a good, really nice couple laps there. They, again, keep 28 minutes, you know, on the table there, maybe 28:10 pace, you know, as the letter of the law tells, or the math kind of shows. But we know that, especially with a pack that's this connected, we're going to see, you know, some fast close off this. I would be actually surprised if maybe 2 or 3 guys didn't break 28 minutes as we start to see laps that are going to get down into the low 70s, and then we should see some maybe high 60s, and then maybe a close sub 60 is what we might see off of this. So Klinger, Jacobs, Keene, and then we'll kind of see which BYU guys, now that maybe the team tactics are done, now these guys, we'll see individually which one of them, you know, kind of have what it takes to hang in there with the the pace set by Klinger at the front. Their teammate, look at Jacobs, goes by Klinger. He says something to him. And so I wonder if it's still kind of a friendly back and forth going on, and the gloves haven't come off yet with a mile to go, 23:42. So that was a 67 lap.
Yeah, I doubt it was a little bit of trash talk, but might have been, never know. But
I think it's more just that, hey, let's go, let's keep this thing going. We've got a shot to break 28 minutes. Let's try to get another 67 or a 66. And, you know, again, I'm sorry, I was kind of messed up on my math last time I was talking about it, but what we're going to start to see is maybe a low 60-second lap start to come up here in this final kilometer, and then they're going to go sub 60 coming home.
Yeah, Jacobs has definitely made a little bit of a surge here. I agree with you. I think the most important thing to these top 5, top 6 right now is the pace. They want to make sure that they run maybe sub 32, but right around that 32-minute mark. So Jacobs took lead, said a little bit something to him, but is picked up the pace a little bit too.
Okay, we have to talk about Cormac Dalton of Tulsa. We haven't mentioned him at all. He's in that lead pack. I feel really bad that we missed him. He's sitting right there having a great run. Cormac Dalton, unless he's just getting lapped, I'm sorry. Or is that Dalton in that pack right there?
I believe I'm not sure actually.
If not, we miss Cormac Dalton if he's been in that lead pack. Nonetheless, we just want to mention him in case he isn't getting lapped. That would be our mistake. But right now, there's a little bit of a move by Keene. Look at Keene right now. We've been talking about Klinger. We've been talking about Jacobs. Those two guys going toe-to-toe, and it might be Keene that says, hey, let me take my shot. Look at Barry Keene right now for Butler. He takes his shot as they are just about a kilometer out. And he's going to be coming up on 2 to go. Keene is beginning to get separation as they are lapping athletes. It's getting kind of tough to see, but you can see Klinger, Jacobs in orange there. And then you got Noakes of BYU as they come up on 2 to go.
I think Klinger
at 25:57.
I think Klinger and Jacobs are going to hunt him down. As he made a move a little bit early, but he did make a strong move to push pace. So we'll see. It looks like he's tiring out a little bit with how those legs are kicking, but he's definitely running a very, very good pace still as he took lead. It's the best thing that you can do in this kind of situation. What he's in, he's already on record pace. He knows he's going to run fast, and he has a shot to beat 2 of the best runners in the NCAA, so he's going to take it.
Yeah, he's run 28:15, so this pace he's definitely can run.
Yeah.
I wonder if he went too soon. Jacob still looks really good. Klinger looks good.
Yeah,
I think
they kind of
we
closed
were
that
right.
gap.
Cormac Dalton of Tulsa is running great in that lead group. He's still right there.
And he's run 28:50 before, so
so
this
Cormac
would be
Dalton, he's been in that lead pack the whole time
as well.
You can see Noakes. That is Joey Noakes right behind Jacobs as they come up on the bell. It's a 10,000 meters. These guys have locked horns for 25 laps, and now 7 of them are there with a lap to go. We've still got Keene, Klinger, the NCAA champ, Jacobs, the defending NCAA champs. Noakes is right there. And then Creed Thompson. So BYU's got 3 of the top 5. Now Klinger takes his shot. Jacobs seems to be in complete control, has yet to move. It's Jacobs. So Keene's fully committed. Now he's moving backwards. Klinger goes, and now it's Jacobs, the defending NCAA champ. Jacobs and Klinger. These two have done battle over the years. Jacobs has got the best of Klinger. Can he do it again? Jacobs and Klinger on the home stretch. A big home stretch run for Jacobs and Klinger. Dylan Jacobs, Gavin Klinger. Jacobs pulls wide, and he'll do just enough to hold off Klinger right at 28 flat. A good run, leading a bunch of guys to personal bests under 28:10. It's funny watching that race. They all seemed like in such good control. It makes you wonder if they were maybe keeping their powder dry a little bit, just wanting to get a big mark, a national qualifying time, but it didn't look like anybody really dug deep and took that big shot. A lot of safe running there. And what's crazy about that safe running is they still ran 28 flat, you know, a 28.01, so right at Jacob's PR. Look at Cormac Dalton. Like I said, we missed him, and he runs 28.04, a 50-second or 45-second personal best. And now we want to look at the time on the clock because, again, those national qualifying marks, usually right around 29 minutes, will lead to a top national qualifying mark. 28.01 puts Jacobs number 7 in the country. I don't think he's that worried about it. He's going to be hopefully contending for a national champion. Anything under 29 minutes probably is a national qualifier. So everybody who just came in, these guys even might be on the bubble coming across the finish line right now. Yeah. So we led a field of probably 20 or 30 guys, maybe 30 guys under 29 minutes. Yeah, great pace setting up front. And then it looked like that group nobody wanted to make that big move. They just kind of kept their powder dry and ran a solid time, and then we'll move on, and maybe we'll even see them tomorrow or later in the weekend.
Yeah, I think they definitely were working together to try to set that pace. The pace and the time was the most important thing in this heat, and they slot into 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, those top 5 guys. So all in that 2 flat or 28 flat to 28.006. The time to beat was 27.57, as we said, so none of them got that top mark, but all in the top 10 in the NCAA so far this year. There may be some movement later in the year, but that'll definitely be enough to send all of those guys to the NCAA championships. So great race, and like you said, smooth and relaxed the entire time. You may be looking at 3 or 4 of your top 5 athletes at the NCAA championship meet right there competing against each other.
Yeah, that might have been I don't know. I mean, obviously, you saw Jacobs and Klinger racing home. They wanted to win the race for sure. There's no doubt about it. But at the same time, I wonder if, definitely iStone and the BYU crew might have been nursing their guys along together and working together and really just trying to say, hey, let's just all notch a bunch of solid marks. And nobody really took that step off the ledge to really push and dig and go and really find the depth of their abilities today. It might have just been one of those safe, great runs. And that's just speaks to the quality of the talent here, that they can run safe, solid, even run and still run 28.05, no problem.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy about how good this talent is. It's going to take a guy to run 27.45 to win the NCAA title this year.
Yeah, and you're not going to see that later at the NCAA title where they're working together. So I definitely think what you said earlier, the time was the most important thing. They wanted to work together, play it safe.